Okay, Italy. That was a wonderful experience in so many, many ways. Tremendous thanks to my camera woman from New York, who is a native Italian, Francesca Alesi, who really coordinated and organized the entire thing at the Italian end, and her friend Christina. My daughter Imogen came with me. She did the filming and editing, so much of the material you're seeing is what she's cut together. There's a lot more to come, but we went there for 2 weeks. It was the first country to purchase the film, first foreign country to purchase the film. They have a very keen interest in this subject because, as you well know, Italian courts have settled in favor of vaccine-induced autism. And although that was then overturned in the appeal court, it's going to the Supreme Court now. I think the reason for overturning it was an appeal by GlaxoSmithKline that they would be adversely affected if the case were allowed to stand. I somewhat bizarre. I'm not entirely sure whether that translates, because it would be a perverse decision to act in favor of the pharmaceutical industry, even though there's a clear acknowledgement that their vaccine has done harm. So there are many cases going on there now. The Italian public were extremely receptive. We stayed ahead. Our job in Italy was to stay literally one day ahead of censorship wherever we went. When we just before we went there, it sounds like your dog is he wants to go for a walk just like I. But when we got there, Senator Pepe, one of the Italian senators from Naples, was going to have a screening in the Italian Senate. That was then blocked by the head of the Senate. Censorship is illegal in Italy, so a group called the Codicon, which is a group of lawyers, rather like Nader's Raiders, public interest lawyers, decided that they would then sue the Italian Senate for this censorship. They then held a press conference. So literally the day I arrived, we went to Senator Pepe's office from the airport, did an interview with the television there. Then the following day, we did 2 screenings and a press conference with Codicon at the movie theater. That was previewed or preceded by a viewing of the movie. And at that movie, and there were more of the Italian press than had seen it throughout the entire United States of America over the time that Vaxxed has been released. So there was a great deal of interest in the Italian media. The story was still very much slanted in favor of the companies and in favor of policy, but that doesn't matter. The fact is that it got public attention. So once again, this effort at censorship led to a massive surge in interest in the film in Italy. So we then went from there to Florence. We had a tremendous screening in Florence. We then went down to Salerno. We'll be showing you some of this footage from Salerno. I think that's the next one up. But Italian crowds are very, very passionate. It's rather like their soccer matches. And I think one pediatrician stood up and said that it was all genetic. And you'll see in the movie what happened to her after that. Anyway, so then we went from Salerno, which is near Naples, down to Bari, right down in the tip of Italy, right down in the heel of Italy. And then we drove back up to Rimini. We were meant to play in Rimini, but the mayor took it upon himself to censor the movie in Rimini. We were then going to play in a principality called San Marino next to Rimini, and it was then censored by the mayor as well. So we ended up holding a screening in a yoga studio, which was fantastic. It was absolutely packed. We had lots and lots of mothers and babies, and a wonderful response. We then went from there to Bologna and another screening, followed by a trip back to Rome for a TV interview. You probably saw that. That was one of the little films we put out earlier. I then went back up to Milan, where I met with, we had a great screening there, and met with Federico Balzer. I don't know whether you remember him. He's the Italian gastroenterologist who worked in my lab, then went back to Italy and repeated the findings of gastrointestinal disease, inflammation in children and adults with autism, and has done investigations of measles virus, immune responses, and treatment studies. So he's done a fantastic job. So he was able to contribute to the discussion in Milan, and then we went back to Rome for a very big conference. I think about 1,300 parents of children, vaccine damaged children. We had a conference in Rome. That was a wonderful event. So the stories are the same. They're exactly the same. They are word for word the same as the stories of American parents. So we captured many of those, and we'll be broadcasting them. And then we were in the hotel, and I think it was the final day, and we were hit by an earthquake. My daughter and I woke up to an earthquake, and I think the epicenter was getting closer to Rome, which is deeply worrying because, of course, Rome is fragile and not able to, I'm sure, withstand a major quake. So I hope that it doesn't get any closer. But that was my first earthquake. I know people on the West Coast in particular have experienced many, so I was a newbie at that. But it was quite an event. And then we came back, and I went straight to Portland, Portland, Oregon, to do a chiropractic conference, which was tremendous fun. So it's been extremely busy. Everybody on the team has been sort of covering their particular base. Polly on the bus, Del on and off the bus, various political meetings, other conferences, and me with this one. So off to Maui next to the International Chiropractic Conference at the beginning of December to talk to them. They've been immensely responsive and receptive to what we've been doing as a professional community, the chiropractors. So congratulations to them. And now the next step, we need to clearly move forward on a political and legal front to make some major changes while we can.